The last speaker, so I'll hand over to Paul now.
Pretty sure it was Vinny's suggestion, but we arrived at it after the last one. The last Politics in the Pub was my first that I came along to, and I think I only made one comment, but it must have impressed Vinny enough to get me up here. And I think it was about Next Gen, which probably led to the topic for tonight. Look, I will be a point of difference from the other speakers, thanks Meredith and Melanie. I think I'll focus on a case study that I've been dealing with over the last 12 months in Perth about some of the employer tactics in terms of exploiting the loopholes in what is the broken legislation, the Fair Work Act. Firstly, a bit about myself. I'm in the privileged position of being a union official at a union where we don't have to worry about density. We don't have to have recruitment conversations. It's great. The WA Prison Officers Union has density in excess of 95%.
Wow.
We cover pretty much every prison officer in the state, and it's a single industry union, so we know what we're dealing with. Our job has become slightly more complex in the last few years under the previous state Liberal government and their Minister Joe Francis. I hope he's enjoying unemployment. They had a fascination with privatising prison services, which I'm sure most people in this room would find an odious thing. Prison shouldn't be run for profit. They're one of the services that should always remain in public hands. So we've had to learn about this Fair Work Act, where we have private prisons in terms of Acacia, Wandoo, which is not going to be private for too much longer, thanks to a decision recently, and more recently the Melaleuca Remand and Reintegration Facility in Canning Vale. I think Melaleuca was Joe Francis's parting gift to the WA Prison Officers Union.
A disaster.
Well, it has been from day one. It was ill thought out why you have carve out 2 units from an existing male facility, turn them over to the private sector, make it a female facility, and mix remandees and females, sentenced females ready for reintegration in the same facility. Beggars belief. It's clearly an ill-conceived idea, and it hasn't worked from the outset, which is no surprise. The union was actually invited to partake in what was termed a public sector bid when Melaleuca was dreamed up by Joe Francis, and we took that seriously. Like we really believe that prisons should be kept in the public sector. And we invested resources. We pared back a staffing model to be competitive with the likes of Serco and G4S. And we were told that if the public sector bid came within 25% of the private sector bids, that it would stay in public hands. But that was bullshit. Sodexo won the contract. Soon after they won the contract in July, we wrote to them and said, okay, we were a bit cheesed off that they'd won the contract, but we wrote to them and said, okay, it's about time we sat down and started talking about a Greenfields Agreement. For those that don't know, under the Fair Work Act, a Greenfields Agreement is an agreement that's negotiated purely between the union and the employer on a site where there is no employees, so a brand new site. You generally end up with a product that's slightly better than the award, but not as good as an enterprise agreement where you have members at the table and threatening action. Our letters to Sodexo went unanswered. They went unanswered for a couple of months. We later found out that they were going unanswered because Sodexo had hired 8 people. One of them had previous prisons experience, 7 were female. Most of them were quite young. They'd hired these 8 people, they'd shut them in a room in their Balcatta offices and gave them busy work, not prison officer training, just busy work. and at the same time they were cobbling together an enterprise agreement all of their own. Sodexo wrote to us, or responded to our letters, in September of last year, so about this time last year, saying, oh, we're ready to meet now, but no point talking about a Greenfields agreement. We've just sent off our own agreement that we've negotiated with our employees to the Fair Work Commission. We're expecting it to be approved. Now, that agreement wasn't just for Melaleuca. That agreement was for the next 4 years, for any contract that Sodexo won in the corrections field for all of Australia. Negotiated, as I say, with 8 people that they'd just hired and put in a room, only one with previous prisons experience. It wouldn't surprise you to know that that agreement contained no terms that were better than the award. No terms that were better than the award. They argued that clause 23, from memory, which is the site-specific allowance clause, made up for the fact that every other clause in the agreement was worse than the award. That site-specific allowance clause, from memory, was a discretionary allowance, payable or not payable to an individual or everyone, at the pure discretion of the employer, that can be removed, increased, decreased at the discretion of the employer. So that clause, in Sodexo's mind, made that agreement better than the award. Look, we were a bit cheesed off to find this, but they did want to meet with us, so we met with them. I sat down at a table with their new superintendent, their new head of HR, and I think the new deputy super, and they all said to me, "Oh, we love the unions. The unions play an important role in the workplace, and we want to have a good relationship with the union." And I said, "Well, you haven't started it well, have you?" That's not how you start a good relationship.